When customer success is seen as a cost center rather than a revenue one, what does it mean for the team's strategy and for the approach?
So I think in a down economy, it gets particularly interesting. The pull is obviously more towards revenue generating activities. So companies are trying to make ends meet, sales are down. They look to the customer engaged teams to figure out how they can help to boost revenues. Most CS teams that I know are already overwhelmed. So adding another responsibility on their plate in terms of driving leads or trying to help with the sales process is going to potentially do real harm to the team, who, by the way, are potentially not natural sellers, but also their mission. They tend to be overwhelmed because they've inherited a lot of, I'll say, collateral damage from upstream decisions. So what that means is that there have been decisions that have made in the customer life cycle, which customer success teams end up taking on a big part of the burden of that. To your question, what does it mean for strategy and approach? I think the first thing I would say is we have to think about where we are as a company in terms of our maturity and our stage. So early stage, you tend to have customer success resources, whatever they're called, doing a lot of different things, wearing a lot of different hats. And then as you get more mature in your evolution, you're going to start to go through some of those growing pains. That person can't do all the things that they did previously. So you really have to think about what falls under the customer success umbrella in terms of responsibilities, in terms of goals. What are they actually tasked with? And what do they actually have the capacity to be able to deliver? So if your CS team is doing renewals, if they're doing upsells, if they are responsible for driving case studies, those are all great activities that can really help with driving revenue. So you want to first examine what is their proximity to those revenue generating activities. And I think that's where we see a lot of variability, because going back to our earlier point, customer success teams, the definition is pretty broad. Some teams are responsible directly for renewals, for example. Some teams are not. Sometimes that's managed more by the account management team or by the sales team. So you have to really think about how do you make sure that the life cycle of the customer is designed in such a way that it's really meeting the customer where they're at, and then figuring out how the customer success team can drive value across those various stages. So if they are overwhelmed, if they are doing a lot of non-revenue generating tasks, you have to really inspect that. You have to dig in, figure out why. What is the cause of that? Where is that originating from? I've seen situations, for example, in one of the companies that I worked at, I owned a team of very technical consultants that really helped the customer to deliver value in the product. When you really pulled back the covers and took a look at that, what they actually were human gap fillers of the product itself. The product was not built in such a way that the customers could get full value on their own. So we had to plug in human resources to be able to help them configure the product and customize it in the way that it needed to be. So if you have that sort of a burden on your customer success team, you can't just take that away without doing a lot of development on, say, the product side in that example. So you really have to figure out, is the team responsible for these activities the right team to do it? And are these activities really necessary?